Hi, it's Joanne here. I live in Teesdale, just on the border with the Yorkshire Dales. I'm an artist who uses primarily photography and works with communities in participatory ways, and uses documentary photography as my main form of practice. I grew up in North Yorkshire, on the North Yorkshire moors, in a very rural area. I really wanted to kind of escape to go and study. It can become a bit of a green prison if you're a teenager. There wasn't much of an arts curriculum at our school, and what was kind of shown as arts was very traditional, which I found quite frustrating. Growing up, I didn't know anyone that was an artist. Arts wasn't really something that was a massive part of our communities. And that's something that I'm really interested in as to why that is. There's obviously some very clear reasons, but the different kind of views of what art is and what it can do is really interesting to me. And I left at 16. I studied in Manchester before going on to study my BA in London. And I found that really interesting. I really wanted to go to an urban area, and I was really interested in just going there and kind of enjoying it to the maximum. And I've spent now kind of 10 years in urban areas. So from leaving at 16, I guess like a similar amount of time. I moved back home after university due to the costs of urban areas, and really my work, what I realised when I was in those areas was that my work looked at rurality. So after kind of trying to escape from that, that was where I was going back to, with the work kind of unconsciously. Now I am artist in residence, working with James Lowther at Berwick Visual Arts, and working with CRE and working with Sally Shortall. So we're looking at gender roles within farming, traditional ones, not so traditional ones, what leads to that and why. It's obviously just a little bit on hold or going a bit slower than it would do due to the current crisis. But in about a week, I'm going to move to Northumbria and carry on. I've had some training, some PPE training about how working with people. So I'm going to kind of carry on working and work up until October time with communities in Northumbria, and looking at those kind of traditional gender roles, sexism in that industry, and just really exploring that and also growing my personal practice, I hope. I really like to use activism in my work and kind of like create a space for different kinds of voices. So that can be by doing participatory work, by hosting workshops, by looking at different ways of working with communities. And I really am interested in doing this in rural areas. And there's a lot of problems that aren't addressed, and those kind of like social issues. The rural areas are often seen as affluent, and they're often seen as not having problems in the mainstream media. So I'm really interested in kind of addressing that. I'm also kind of like interested in this idea of, especially in the arts, the rural areas being somewhere where like artists go and change that area without any prior knowledge of rural areas. It's something I'm quite passionate about because I grew up in that area and I know those communities so well. I don't know, I find something like kind of slightly jarring about that people can, like, it's almost like misunderstanding the very core of those communities. And I think that's really important because as I went to an urban area, I learnt so much. People can go to a rural area and maybe they can learn instead of just it being a place where they impart knowledge onto. I don't know a huge amount of practitioners within the north or the northeast area or really all over the UK, but I'm really interested in connecting to those whose work is about rurality and who have questions or actually who have different opinions to mine, and having like healthy discussions with them I've really been thinking about how we can do that during the current crisis and how work can go forward. And it really does depend on kind of the roles that we're given. But I think that like small meetings of like person to person using face masks, and it's really important that we lead the way in being cautious. And having like a kind of like a picnic. I'm all about bringing food to the situation because I think it's a really interesting way of getting people to open up and to talk about their practices, or to talk with communities about the issues that they're facing, and also to continue doing workshops with different groups. So just like when I move to Northumbria, I will be staying in farm cottages that's just outside of Berwick. So to get to know those people, I'll be like leaving bags that has like workshop things in. That's kind of like, how would you like me to address you? What would you like me to call you? Like, but that is fun and kind of arts related, like you would if you were hosting a workshop. And I just think it's that we have those tools and we can bring them to the communities that we are working in. So I would really like to explore that and also to talk to people about that. Any of you that are interested, or any of you that are doing similar, I would love to have conversations with. So thank you.